Right now, somewhere in your front yard, there are plants growing that contain more vitamins than the spinach in your refrigerator, more omega-3 fatty acids than the fish oil capsules in your medicine cabinet, and more protein per cup than some of the powder supplements on your kitchen counter. You did not plant them. You did not water them. And this weekend, you will probably spray them with poison and throw them in a trash bag. These 6 common backyard weeds can replace entire sections of your grocery list. And the reason you have been trained to kill them has nothing to do with your health, and everything to do with a $5 billion chemical industry that needed an enemy to sell its products. Michael Pollan, the author of In Defense of Food and the Omnivore's Dilemma, called 2 of these plants the most nutritious in the world. Your great-grandparents ate them for dinner. Today you pay to destroy them. But that is about to change, because once you know what is actually growing in your yard, you will never look at your lawn the same way again. But before I reveal the game changers, if you are sick of paying for toxic fertilizers, I have put together a free $0 harvest blueprint for you. It reveals 7 zero-cost fertilizers that actually outperform everything you know, bundled with the lazy no-dig method. One of my readers used the fertilizer trick inside, and his tomatoes grew double the size of his neighbors. To get instant access to the free blueprint and a weekly forgotten gardening hack, click the first link in the description below, or scan the QR code on the screen right now if you are watching on TV. Open the camera app on your phone and hold it against the TV. Number 1. The dandelion. It replaces your lettuce, your coffee, and half the vitamin aisle at the pharmacy. Every single part of the dandelion plant is edible. The young leaves from the rosette growing in your front lawn taste like a slightly bitter endive, and they work raw in salads or cooked in olive oil with garlic on the stovetop. The bright yellow flowers can be battered and fried into fritters, or fermented into dandelion wine in a glass jar on your kitchen counter. And the long tap roots that make dandelions so impossible to pull out of the ground can be roasted in your oven and brewed as a caffeine-free coffee substitute. Nutritionally, dandelion leaves are loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, plus calcium, iron, manganese, and potassium. That is a broader nutrient profile than iceberg lettuce, romaine, and butter lettuce combined. The roots contain inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria in your digestive system. And dandelions were never supposed to be a weed. Settlers aboard the Mayflower brought dandelion seeds to North America in 1620 as a deliberate food and medicine crop. For 300 years, Americans cultivated and ate them. The Shakers grew acres of dandelion fields. Dandelion salads, dandelion tea, and dandelion wine were all staples of the American kitchen. But the dandelion story takes a turn after World War II. And the reason involves chemical weapons. We will get to that. Number 2, purslane. It replaces your fish oil supplements and your spinach. That flat, fleshy succulent with reddish stems creeping between the cracks of your driveway contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy vegetable plant on Earth. Purslane has higher omega-3 content than some of the fish oil capsules sold at the pharmacy counter, and a 100-gram serving of the raw leaves delivers over 1,300 international units of vitamin A, 21 milligrams of vitamin C, and a dense array of B-complex vitamins. In Mexican grocery stores and farmers markets across Latin America, purslane is sold under the name verdolagas and cooked into pork stews, scrambled eggs, and fresh salsas. It is not considered a weed in Mexico City or Tucson. It is considered dinner. Purslane seeds stay viable in the soil for up to 40 years, and a single plant can produce 200,000 seeds in one growing season. You cannot kill it if you try. That is exactly why it is perfect as a free, self-sustaining food source, growing in your garden beds and sidewalk cracks, without any effort from you. But before we get to the next plant on this list, you need to understand something about the one growing right next to the purslane in your garden. It has been feeding humans on this continent for over 1,000 years, longer than corn. Number 3. Lamb's quarters. It replaces your spinach, your protein shakes, and your multivitamin tablets. Lamb's quarters, also called wild spinach, goosefoot, or pigweed, is a gray-green plant with diamond-shaped leaves covered in a white powdery coating that grows in every disturbed soil patch across North America. That white powder is not mold or pesticide residue. It is natural mineral salt from the soil, and it is completely edible. 1 cup of boiled lamb's quarters contains 6 grams of protein, more than double the daily recommended value of vitamin A. It also contains 66 milligrams of vitamin C and 120 milligrams of iron. Compared to a cup of boiled grocery store spinach, lamb's quarters wins in nearly every category. It also contains significantly less oxalic acid than spinach, which means your body absorbs the iron and calcium more efficiently from lamb's quarters leaves. Archaeologists have found cultivated lamb's quarters seeds at dig sites in eastern North America, dating back 3,500 years. This plant was one of the earliest agricultural crops on the continent, predating the cultivation of corn by 1,500 years. Native Americans did not pull this plant out of the ground. They planted it on purpose. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. Forbidden Ember covers do-it-yourself self-sufficiency every week. Next week's video reveals another free resource you have been throwing away. Now, the next plant on this list does not look like much, but it has been keeping humans alive in harsh conditions for centuries, including on Navy ships crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Number 4. Chickweed. It replaces your salad greens, your multivitamins, and your winter produce budget. Chickweed is a low-growing ground cover with tiny white star-shaped flowers and bright green oval leaves that thrives in cool, moist conditions. While your garden vegetables die off at the first frost, chickweed is just getting started. It grows through fall and winter in most temperate climates, producing fresh edible greens during the exact months when grocery store produce prices spike the highest. The flavor is mild and slightly sweet, with none of the bitterness that turns people off from dandelion leaves. Toss it raw into salads, blend it into pesto with olive oil and garlic, or add handfuls to pasta sauce on the stove, where its natural saponins give the dish a creamy texture. Nutritionally, chickweed contains iron, copper, calcium, zinc, manganese, phosphorus, magnesium, and vitamins A, B, sod, and D. Chickweed seeds have been found in the stomachs of preserved human bodies pulled from Danish peat bogs, meaning people were eating this plant centuries ago during some of the harshest living conditions in northern Europe. Its sprouts were also a common food source on early Navy sailing ships crossing the Atlantic, helping prevent scurvy among sailors long before anyone understood vitamin C. Number 5. Stinging nettle. It replaces your spinach, your iron supplements, and your expensive herbal tea collection. Yes, the plant that burns your skin when you brush against it on a hiking trail through the woods is one of the most nutritious wild foods on the planet. Stinging nettle leaves are packed with iron, calcium, protein, and vitamins A and C. At 65 calories per 100 grams, nettle is unusually calorie-dense for a leafy green, which makes it one of the most valuable wild food plants if you are actually trying to live off foraged food. The sting comes from tiny silica needles on the stems and leaves that inject a mild acid into your skin on contact. But here's the part most people never learn. Cooking the leaves for just 3 minutes in a pot of boiling water completely neutralizes the sting. Drying the leaves does the same thing. Once cooked, nettles taste like a rich, earthy spinach and are used in soups, stews, and stir-fry dishes at restaurants across Germany, Scandinavia, and the United Kingdom. Nettle tea brewed from dried leaves is one of the most popular herbal teas in European health food stores. You can make the same thing for free from the plants growing along the shady edges of your backyard, near the fence line or creek bank. Number 6. Plantain. Not the banana, the flat-leafed weed growing in every crack of your sidewalk. It replaces your first aid ointment, your flour, and your leafy greens. Broadleaf plantain grows in compacted soil along walkways, driveways, and the worn paths through your yard where nothing else seems to survive. The young leaves are edible, cooked in soups and stews, and the tall, seedy flower stalks that shoot up in summer produce seeds that can be harvested and ground into a high-protein flour for baking bread. The leaves are rich in calcium, beta-carotene, and vitamin C, but plantain's most remarkable property is medicinal. Crushing a fresh plantain leaf and applying it directly to an insect bite, bee sting, or minor wound creates a natural poultice that reduces swelling and soothes pain. This was standard first aid knowledge among Native American communities and early European settlers across the continent for centuries before commercial ointments existed. Plantain grows everywhere humans walk. It has followed human civilization for thousands of years, and right now it is growing in the cracks of your patio, waiting to be either eaten or sprayed with herbicide. Which brings us to the question in the title of this video. Why did they train you to kill these plants? The answer starts in 1944, inside laboratories operated by the United States Chemical Warfare Service. Military researchers were testing over 1,000 synthetic chemicals for their potential as both plant growth stimulants and plant killers. One compound, called 2,4-dichlorophenoliacetic acid, showed a remarkable property during field tests. When sprayed on a patch of lawn, it killed 95% of dandelions with a single application, while leaving every blade of Kentucky bluegrass completely untouched. The military never deployed 2,4-D as a weapon during World War II, but the chemical companies who had funded its development, including Dow Chemical and Sherwin-Williams, saw a different kind of battlefield: the American suburban lawn. By 1946, Dow Chemical was running advertisements with the headline, "Doomsday for the Dandelion." Herbicide marketing campaigns used military imagery and language deliberately. Products carried names like the Martin Weed Gun, and the Weed Eater was marketed as the ultimate weapon in the war on grass and weeds. The message to suburban homeowners was clear: these plants are your enemy. A good American fights them. And it worked. Within a generation, dandelion greens went from a beloved spring food to something your father attacked with chemicals every Saturday morning. A plant that settlers had carried across the Atlantic as precious cargo became the most hated organism in the American yard. Today, Americans spend roughly $5 billion per year on herbicides. Over 40 million acres of the United States are planted as lawn, an area 3 times larger than any irrigated crop in the country. And the broadleaf herbicide 2,4-D, the same compound developed from Chemical Warfare Service research, remains one of the most widely used weed killers on Earth. It is also notably a component of Agent Orange, the defoliant sprayed across Vietnam War battlefields. The commercial herbicide industry needs enemies to justify its existence. Dandelions, purslane, lamb's quarters, chickweed, nettles, and plantain became those enemies. Not because they harm your lawn, not because they are toxic, but because they have broad leaves, and the chemicals that kill broad leaves happen to spare grass. Every plant that is not grass became a target because the business model required it. One safety note before you head outside with a basket: never harvest plants from areas that have been treated with herbicides, pesticides, or chemical fertilizers on suburban lawns or commercial properties. Avoid foraging near busy roads where exhaust contamination settles on leaves. Always positively identify any plant before eating it, because some edible weeds have toxic lookalikes. Purslane, for example, can be confused with spurge, a poisonous plant with hairy stems and milky white sap that you should never eat. When in doubt, leave it. Start with small quantities to check for individual allergic reactions before making any forage plant a regular part of your diet. 6 plants. Free. Growing without permission in your yard right now, they are more nutritious than most of what you wheel out of the grocery store. The only reason you have been pulling them out of the ground is that a chemical weapons program needed a peacetime market. We are exposing another everyday product you've been overpaying for, and the alternative has been sitting in your house the entire time. That video is on screen right now.